All right. So for the sake of learning, I wanted us to actually do a single node OKD cluster so we could get some hands-on experience and also be able to take that with us when we orchestrate and administrate a OpenShift cluster in live production. So this is the one that I have right now. This is my working one and the one that I did to actually prove the concept and everything and make sure that I had all my settings right. And with you guys, I'm actually going to build another one out so we can go ahead and get started on that. I am not Rain Man. I use the documentation as I feel like anybody should if they want to do something like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to knock off each one of these settings that needs to be knocked off one by one. So in order to get this working properly, we need to handle DNS and we need to handle our DHCP settings. So with DNS, we can easily get that done by, for example, if you wanted to do like a bind DNS server, or you want to do Pi-hole or something like that, or if you're like me and you have your own firewall, then you can go into your DNS records and you can put it there. And that's exactly what I did for us. Right here, we have the OKD.tutorial lab cluster. That is going to be our domain name for our one single node, and it's all routing back to this IP address. And this is very important because when you're actually spinning it up, it's basically communicating with itself, so it needs to be able to route that traffic back to itself, especially like when it's reaching out to the internet. All those packets need to be able to come back to it itself for it to be able to build correctly. So, with that being said, we already got these settings out the way. We already got the API settings set up, the API-int, and the wildcard for the applications set up. And one tip that I will give you when you are doing this is to test it out and make sure that it's working. I have had many a cluster not spin up because of this. And that is what we're going to do because we practice what we preach around here. So I am in my services machine that I am going to be using in order to build out the image and then distribute that image over to my hypervisor so I can go ahead and get it spun up. And what we're going to do first is we're going to test out if the API is going to route correctly through DNS. And all DNS is doing is relating a name to an IP address and also doing that backwards as well. How I remember it is I always say to myself that computers work in numbers, whereas humans work in words, and we need something to be able to translate the two. So what we're going to do is we're going to reach out to this host name right here, and we're going to say like, hey, am I able to hit the API that OKD? And this is just purely seeing if it relates it back to that IP address that we want it to. Okay, so that one is successful. This one is successful as well. This one is the API-int that the documentation told us about. And right here, we need to make sure our wildcard works. And we are good to go. Our wildcard is working. So the other thing that I kind of skipped over, but is very, very, very important, is the DHCP settings. So when I say the DHCP settings, we need to know that when this node comes up, it's going to have the exact IP address that we want it to. And at first, when I was trying to do this on my own, I was so lost as to how do you do that, because if a computer was up, then you could easily change the IP address, but how do I make sure it has the right IP address? And that's when you go to your DHCP pool and you give it a static IP address based on the MAC address. The MAC address is burned in on the NIC of the machine, but in our case, it's going to be virtual. But the main thing is we need to make sure that this has the same MAC address in our hypervisor, and we will. And if you're in Proxmox, you can easily do that. By when you build the machine or after you build the machine, you go here and you change this setting. So we're good on that. I have the MAC address and everything set up in our firewall, but the thing is, we need to actually build our image, and that's what we're going to do here on our services machine that we also just ran the commands on as well. And I'll clear the screen to go ahead and make it so we can focus in on it. So we're going to go back to the documentation. Again, I am not Rain Man. I do not just make it up off of the top of my head, although I wish I could. And we're going to see what all we need to install. So we need to install Podman as a prerequisite. Podman should be installed already because it is Fedora. Yep, and it is. So we have Podman already installed. We need to set a couple variables in order to be able to run some of the commands that we have later on, and this makes it significantly easier when you do it this way. So props to the documentation for actually having those settings. So what we're going to do is we're going to first set a variable OKD version, and I'm going to do 4.19 because I want to do a tutorial on how to update a cluster. So I'm going to start a little bit far back. Right now, I believe we're on 4.20 or 4.21, one of those. So that was the first step. Now we're going to set a variable for the architecture that we're setting up for. Me, myself, I'm not doing ARM or anything special like that. I'm on x86. So I am going to do the export architecture is going to be equal to x86 64. And we are going to grab these curl commands down here. And as you can see, the same variables that we set are being used down here in the curl command. So it's really important that you figure out which one you want to use. Okay. I just had a thought. I probably need to run this as root. No, I should be able to still get away with it because I'll just put it in my user bin. All right. So now let's see what goodies we have. Got the OC tar. Then we're gonna do that tar here. And let's see what goodies we have now. We have the OC and we have the OC tar. Still. Then we're gonna do the chmod to make that executable. Now we had a cube. Oh, I also missed the cube control that we have over there. Now we need to download the OKD installer. Oop. Doesn't look like I got all of it. Just stick with that. All right, so we got that guy. Let's get our Openshift installer. I'm gonna make that executable. And now we need to get the correct disk image. So gotta get that guy. Might take a while due to my internet connection. In the meantime, let me look at this guy. We had to install config.yaml. And these are the different settings that we can change in there. Oh, we also need to generate an SSH key. All right. Yeah, had this spelled right. Make sure I'm not missing anything else. All right. So we're gonna hop in this install configuration.yaml, and we're gonna copy and paste what they gave us. And back out of it after we save it so we can generate our SSH key. And we can do that with the SSH keygen. And yeah. And let's see, public key. We can grab that guy. And we can hop back in our file. Switch over in insert mode. Slash SDA. And let me make sure in my notes that I have the correct, oh, tutorial lab cluster. Yep, and then now we need to get our pull secret. Then what I'll do is I will SSH into my working one. But matter of fact, I probably don't even have to SSH into it. And the reason why I'm doing this is so I can see what the working one was and make sure that I'm using the same pull secret and everything. And matter of fact, I probably should have saved myself a step. 168. And this was the working one. So last time I did this one, which was a fake pull secret. I just chose to do a fake pull secret because I didn't feel like signing into the Red Hat console and everything and having to go through their stuff. Ah, too many. All right. So we have that guy going. We have our install config now. All right. So we're gonna make a directory called SNO. Gonna copy that install configuration into SNO. And just to be thorough, let's make sure we have everything correct. Yep. Happy with that. So continue on. And now we're gonna start generating. All right. Got that guy working. What else do we have? Okay, we need to embed the correct commands inside of the ISO. Cool. So now at this point, we have our ISO configured and it has everything that it needs in it. And with our DNS settings correct and everything, when we do bring the node up, it's going to build itself. That is going to be like a 40-minute process, and I'm not going to bore you guys with that. But what I will do is I will fast forward to um, right after when it's actually done. And I'll go up to this step with you because I don't want y'all to miss out on that. So now we have our ISO right here, and I can prove that to you by listing off what we have. So we have our live ISO, and we need to somehow, some way get this over to our hypervisor, and we can do that with secure copy. And I have the command right here. So we're gonna secure copy it over to our Proxmox hypervisor. Yep, it's gonna be the first time. So it's gonna ask me for my password. All right. And now that we have that in there, Proxmox should have that in our local directory that has all our other ISO images, and you see it right here. And what we need to do is we need to create a virtual machine based off that. Right. So we have that. Oh, and this is one big tip that I can give you if you're doing this. Make sure that you have an NVMe that you run this on. Because if you don't have an NVMe, it's not going to be performing and it's going to take forever for the commands to go through. I've lived through it. Don't do it. Right. So have that guy. And we will give this node 250. And we'll do SATA. The documentation, if I am not mistaken, recommends you getting 8 cores. And for this one, we'll do about 10 gigs of RAM, even though this thing is going to be screaming by. It's just a single node to just try to prove the concept. And this right here is what tripped me up before. Um, Back when we did our DHC people, we said we configured it to where like this MAC address is going to get this IP address. But one time in the past, I didn't do that. So it just did not work. So we're going to make sure we don't make that same mistake. What we'll do is we'll power on this machine and we will grab this command right here to monitor the process. And again, I'm not going to bore you guys with the waiting and everything. I'm going to fast forward to after everything builds. And all right, through the magic of time and a lot of waiting, we are actually through the end of the process. And I am going to try to visit the site now with you guys. And we're going to log in for the first time. All right, cube admin. Let's go back to our command line. All right, and we're in. We are in. CR8 CPU. We are pretty much cooking right now and using like all of it. But again, this is just for testing purposes and also learning purposes. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And just to give y'all some proof, this was the old cluster and this is the new one. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I was able to help anybody out that was stuck trying to do this and didn't know how to do it the correct way. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask your questions down in the comments below. And also you could email me as well.